Okay, so welcome to lesson 4, I believe, of reading music and playing bass with me, Kyle, the bassist for Derek and the Demons. This song was by request. I wasn't going to do it just because there's a lot of improvisation in it. It's a fairly simple song. All the magic comes from just making it up as we go. But as I was writing it out, in this sheet music program, I realized that it does have some complicated rhythms that we haven't really seen before. Not really complicated, just rhythms we haven't seen before. And I thought it'd be nice to go through it. So let's just do that. Let's start at the top here. So we have the bass clef, of course. We have 1 sharp, which means we're in the key signature of E minor. So this is E minor and not G major, only because the root note in all this music is E. And really that's the only way to differentiate between E minor and G major, is just by listening and feeling. We have the time signature here, 4 beats in measure, quarter notes getting the beat. So every measure has 4 beats and could fit 4 quarter notes, 4 beats in the measure. Tempo is 60, which is pretty slow, 60 beats per minute. So 60 quarter notes in the span of a minute. You can set your metronome to that. We have a pickup measure here, and it's only 1 beat, so it just starts on 4 and then goes into the first full measure here, which gets the full 4 beats. And so let me go through this new note that we have here, this new rhythm note. So it's a 16th note. Before we've done quarter notes, dotted quarter notes, eighth notes, dotted eighth notes. Now we have 16th notes. So 16th notes get half the amount of time as an eighth note. And you can tell it's a 16th note because it has 2 lines or 2 flags off the stem, as opposed to an eighth note which only has 1. So here's an eighth note, or a few eighth notes, and they only have 1. The 16th note has 2. Okay, so how do we count this? Let's start at the top here. Well, we have the pickup measure. That's just 1 beat. So it starts on 4. So it would be 4, 1. And let me go through actually how I count the 16th notes, 8th notes, and quarter notes. So in a 4/4 measure, you have a quarter note, a full measure of quarter notes would just be counted 1, 2, 3, 4. So with my left hand, I will count the beat and I will speak the notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. With eighth notes, you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So again, the beat is with my left hand here, and I'm speaking the notes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now with 16th notes, I say 1 E and for 4 16th notes in 1 beat. So 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and that would be a full measure of 16th notes, and there would be 16 of them. Okay, so counting this, we're starting on 4. 4, 1. So we're starting on the last 16th note of that beat. 1. Actually, you know what? Let me do this. I'm going to write this out. I'm going to take a screenshot here. And bring this up, and I'm gonna actually write how I count these measures so you can see. So let's see here. So we're starting on beat 4. Can you see that? Maybe I'll make that a little bigger. And this is 1. So we have a dotted quarter note. So the note actually extends into 2, and then we start on and 3. So 2 and 3. This beat or this note is on 3, dotted quarter, and then we're back to 1 here. 1 and a 3 and a 1. Does that make sense? So we have a half note here that takes up 2 beats, and then we're starting on 3 here, and then 3E, this 16th note rest is on and then this 16th note is on and then this 16th note starts on 4. This 16th rest would be the E. This 16th note is on and this 16th rest is on and then we're back to 1 here. So to count this with the notes: 1, 3E, 4, and 1. 1, 3E, 4, and 1. Does that make sense? So it's a little complicated, it's a little syncopated here. But I think it's not too bad. And this is like essentially the entire rhythm for the whole piece. Because then it just kind of repeats the rhythm here. The rhythm is the same here, it's just different notes. I'll count this for you. So 1 and then 2. This is taking up 2 beats, and then 3 E and 4 E and 1. Make sense? And then this is the same rhythm as up here. And 3 and 1. The second ending here would be 1, 2, 3, and 4 E and 1. So yeah, the rhythm's getting a little bit complicated, but I don't think it's too bad. Let's go back to the sheet music here. Okay. So what else do we have here? We have this line here, this less than line for you math people. The dynamics here, mezzo forte, so kind of loud. The chorus here is forte, so loud. And then this is a crescendo. So we're going from mezzo forte, and then throughout this measure we gradually get louder until we land at forte. And then we're in the chorus here, which the rhythm is basically the same as the verse. We're just doing different notes. This last bit here, E and 1. So this is on 4 here, as opposed to, we have something similar up here, I think. Well, we have, and this quarter note here would go into the E. Looking through this, well, let me start at the beginning here and play it, and then you can hear kind of what it sounds like. So we're starting on beat 4 of this pickup measure. So that's essentially the verse. When I say this has a lot of improvisation, what I mean by that is usually after every half note here, I'm making up this section here. I just put in a few different things that I do. doo doo. But you can do whatever you want through these last 2 beats of the measure. These are just a few of the tricks that I do. And then the second time, remember we have the repeat, first ending, and then the second time we go to the second ending, and that goes into the chorus. So I'll start this just in the second ending, and then we can hear the chorus. So then we're back into the verse there, back to mezzo forte. So we do have an accidental here. So this is a note that's not in the key of E minor. It's a D sharp. You can just tell it doesn't really fit in the key. We have D, D, D sharp, E. So it kind of leads into that E. It's kind of a little bluesy progression. I'll play this whole measure so you can hear it again. It's a tension. It's kind of like a leading tone back into E. And that's another way you can tell that we're in the key of E minor, is because we have a leading tone that goes right into E. That's called, what mode is that? Harmonic minor, I believe, is when you raise the 7th note to get back into the tonic, which is our E here. So D sharp, E. This note just kind of wants to go to E. Anyway, that's a music theory thing. You don't really need to know that. Looking ahead, it's basically the whole song. It is very simple, like I said. It's just a matter of improvising. So I'm going to turn off these repeats and skip ahead here. Show you some of the other things I do. When we get into this kind of solo section in the very end of the song, we can see we have a triple forte here, so that's as loud as possible. Derek will solo louder, and instead of doing this dotted quarter note to these and threes here, in order to make it loud and dramatic, I'm just hitting these beats, these 8th note beats, before hitting the and movement to the next chord. So I will start it here, and it will just go through, and we can listen to some of the other things I do here. Actually, I am going to turn the repeats on because I can see this program won't differentiate between the first and second endings when you don't have the repeats on. Anyway, here we go. We have a crescendo here. So we continue on, we hit this thing, we go back to the sign. Essentially, we just keep playing this riff, different variations of it, until the end of the song. Like I said, a lot of improvising in this piece. But that's the whole song, and it's not too complicated. Once you get past some of the syncopation, it looks worse than it is. Yeah, so I'm going to grab my bass and I will show you how to play these parts, and then we'll put it all together. Okay, so I have my bass guitar here, and I'm going to go through some of these licks. Not going to go through all of them, because like I said, a lot of this is this improvisation. I'm just going to go through like kind of the main riffs, a few of the licks in here, and then we're just going to put it all together. So let's start at the very top here at that pickup note. So I'm going to skip ahead to the second ending here, and then go into the chorus. So, sorry, I'm going to start that a measure before that second ending. So remember, that's where we have that accidental there, that D sharp. I don't know if you can see that. D sharp, back to E, and then we're just back in the verse riff there. But that's pretty much it. That's the verse and the chorus. Some of the licks I do, I'll go like way up here. I don't know. Just have fun with that. That loud part towards the end where I'm still playing the E, just an octave lower. You know, just whatever you want to do. Like I said, it's a lot of improvisation. Just have fun with it. So let's put it all together. I'll find a practice session where we play this song and we'll play along. Okay, so I have my bass guitar here and I'm going to do just a run through with one of our practice sessions like we've been doing. I'm not even going to look at the sheet music though, because like I said, that's a very simple song and relies mostly on improvisation. So I'm just going to start it and we'll play along. So that's the whole song. Obviously, I don't have my bass amp, so I probably overloaded the stereo interface maybe, so the sound might get a little distorted. But you know, that's basically it. It's fairly easy. It's a lot easier than it looks. I hope you have fun with it. So see you next time.